to the Spot Real Talk. My name is Tiara.
I'm LaWanda.
I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Ron.
And today we are back to talk about The Chi. This is season 3, episode 8. So hold on tight and we'll be right back with you.
Busy in the weather, last one burnt you. Know that ain't cool. Wanna show you how I'm nothing like him. Swear that's the truth. So you can't trust that I'm.
Hello again, we are back, and like I said, we're going to talk about The Chi. But before we get into that, we are all coordinating today. We are rocking our Stay On Code shirts.
Yeah. Let's see. There you go. That's as much as I can get.
Yes, and these are from LaWanda. LaWanda, why don't you let us know all about these shirts?
Yeah, I think for many of us, we took this time during the shutdown to figure out our creative side. So the t-shirts are my thing. So I came up with all these designs. Stay On Code was, of course, on everybody's mind. And our code is us first.
There you go.
Yeah, so they're available online at godwearcode.com, and we'll put the information in the comments. But yeah,
yes.
Stay On Code.
Yes. Get your shirts, and they're comfortable too.
They sure are.
Mm-hmm. I love the material.
I'll be getting another one too, and I'll do that online.
Give one away, so we might need to come up with some kind of contest so we can give one away.
Hey, that's
that would be cool.
That would be hot.
Yeah, I like the giveaway idea.
Yeah.
So are we ready to jump into 308 of The Chi?
Let's do it.
This one was titled Frunchroom. Now, I don't know what kind of Chicago lingo that is.
Yeah, I don't either.
I'm going to have to look into that. Mm-hmm. But this episode was all about Kiesha and her recovery.
Or lack thereof.
Yeah, it was definitely difficult to watch and to see her in that state that she's in after being found. So now we get to see the aftermath of everything and how she's dealing. So it kind of left off that way last episode with her in the room with the scissors in her hand. Mm-hmm. And I was wondering, like, is that a sign that she's feeling like suicidal, or is she just like trying to feel safe? Like she wants some kind of weapon to protect herself?
It could be both.
It could be. I looked upon it as, trying to amass some sort of safety. But what I was really interested in, and of course I don't know anything about the behavior of a person who's been raped or captured that way, so I have nothing ill to say about it. But I thought it was a little interesting how she went through a series of emotions. At one point, that fear factor, and then at other times she was just angry, and they all kind of culminated at certain points in times. And it was interesting that the only person could somehow snap her out was good old Emmett.
Emmett, yeah.
Yeah.
And that seems like Emmett, he didn't come on too hard, so that I appreciated that about him. He was willing to work with her within her comfort level. And I was glad that she did finally open up to somebody, because like Dre was saying earlier in the episode, she was saying like, that's not good to keep all of that emotion pent up. You will eventually explode.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I gotta say about Dre, like, I know she has good intentions and stuff, but once again, I thought she stepped in it when she called the friend over there and stuff, and she didn't discuss that with Nina. Like, I agree, Kiesha needs to go to counseling. She definitely needs to get this off her and stuff, but her taking the initiative to have the friend come over there, and you see the friend was real thoughtless and everything, it just was not. It was not a good time. It wasn't a good move. And at this point, I think all of them need to go to counseling.
Yes, they need to do individual and family counseling.
Mm-hmm.
And Nina and Dre probably need a separate one for couples.
Yes, that's why I said everybody need to go.
Yeah.
I say that because it seems almost like everybody is somehow making it about them when it's really about Kiesha. We discussed this before. We knew she was going to come back traumatized, and we knew it was going to have an impact on the family. But it's kind of interesting to see how that's going to go, because it seems like Kevin is feeling like a certain way, and all of that stuff is coming out. It's almost like the tensions that they were having before she was kidnapped, they're all coming to the surface now.
Well, I
was discussing it.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, Kevin kind of made a good, good point to that because they're all suffering. I can only imagine how traumatic it would be, to go weeks and not know anything about, your daughter. So I can very well see how everybody's traumatized, almost equally. Of course, Kiesha has, she's the one that has to actually recover, and it's going to take much longer for her to do so, hopefully, than the other folks in the family. But yeah, they all seem to be trying to get over something. So I think you're right. They all got to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's interesting that she basically told them that she wasn't assaulted.
Yeah, I think she's just trying to avoid the conversation because she knows that once they delve into that, it's like no turning back, and then like it's going to be more than she can probably handle at the moment.
I think so too. But I think that's exactly what it is. She's not ready to touch that yet, and then she probably feels so violated that
Yeah, when she looks in the mirror and she can't stand what she sees. That certainly drove that point home, that she just, after being violated in any manner, and for so long, she sees a different person. And I think she said that, she said, I don't even recognize myself.
Yeah.
I felt bad for her.
Oh, go ahead, Tiff.
I said I felt bad for her too, because I felt like she was being victimized all over again, because not only has she dealt with this devastating situation, people online, and that's the devil side of the social media and the internet and stuff, that they're all speculating about what happened, what she did. Yep. And then the friend who wasn't really a good friend either, that came over with thoughtless comments and trying to catch up with her man and all this other stuff.
Let's just call that ignorant. That was just ignorant.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I think she was trying to like make Kiesha feel like, okay, you can get back to normal. But when they started talking about all the rumors that had been circulating about her, it made it much worse.
Right.
And then the other thing I was thinking about too was Kevin, and how he kind of talked about how he's tired of lying because it's not helping the situation at all. And so he very truthfully blurts out a lot of stuff, but it also came off as victim blaming. Like, you were out here running the streets doing this and that, and that's why this happened to you. And I was like, okay, Kev, come on, you got to be a little more sensitive to her feelings.
And he came very close to getting the hands this week.
Yeah.
But you know what though? My friend had an interesting point about that. She feels like that during this time, that while everyone was focusing on finding Kiesha, that Nina neglected Kevin. And she said, and she feels like that's where a lot of that is coming from with Kevin. That, that he did not have the attention from his mom because the sole focus was finding Kiesha.
I feel that way though, because I think they tried to work with Kevin, but he was kind of like clammed up too.
He was trying to see, that's what I said too. I was like, he was hanging with the friends, Papa and Jake, and they tried to give him the party and everything, right. but she feels like he's acting out because of that. The weight of carrying the lie, because I think she said she feels that Kevin is feeling guilty because he didn't immediately tell his parents the truth, and so they lost a little bit of time with that, and she could be dead. Right. So he's feeling guilty about that, and then she thinks he's feeling neglected too because the sole focus was about Kiesha.
And that's a lot of weight to carry too. I mean,
he's a child.
Well, even for anybody. I mean, can you imagine, thinking that I could have saved her? His manner of thinking, I could have saved her if only I told the truth. So that lie, carrying that lie for that length of time, had to have been eating him up. And I think that's why we now understand why he was so aggressive during that time, because he was really going through it all.
Yeah, but I think that's a kid's perspective too, for him to, one, feel neglected because he's a kid.
Right.
And two, I think his words impacted Kiesha the same way the kidnapper's words did, blaming her, saying
right. Right.
No, that's not the reason, you
Right.
know. But I
Definitely.
that kind of got to her. There may be another reason why she didn't mention assault, because it's almost like saying, see, I did make this happen. I put myself out there. I was carrying myself in a certain way. I allowed this or made this happen to me, or somehow that people will blame her and say that she deserved it, and she didn't. No one deserves it.
No, nobody deserved that. And her mother was right when she said, I don't care if you was walking butt naked down the street. Nobody still deserved to put their hands on you. You did not deserve that.
No.
Yeah.
And you know, I think we made mention last week about possibly her going back to college might help. And then here we find out that, you know, she lost the scholarship, and, you know, that her life just started, well, it just crumbled.
Like that situation could have, like, if you go into a college admissions board or whoever is recruiting her for school, I feel like they should have been way more understanding of the situation. Like, you know, she is missing, but I mean, the show must go on, of course. But if she happens to come back, maybe they can still extend her some kind of offer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they presumed she was dead.
Right. And
that's why I think they moved on.
Yeah. I think it's incumbent upon Nina to, you know, contact that school and say, hey, look, she's not dead. We found her. Can you make some adjustments here, because she really needs this. And of course, you know, school, it's all about slots, and those slots are filled. Those scholarship slots are filled. So, but you know, hey, who has the deeper pocket? The school. So the school can make some additions if they want to. They can help her if they want to.
I truly don't believe that her going away would be good for her. I don't.
Not right now.
So. And
not right now.
I found that interesting too, especially when she was talking to Ronnie, and she was trying to like talk to him. They have both been in traumatizing situations. They both had to kill somebody, and so like just dealing with that guilt. And then I could tell the way like she asked him that question that is weighing heavily on her, that she had to take his life, Omari. And so Ronnie kind of reassures her, like, you'll work through it. Just don't drown your sorrows in the bottle of liquor.
Yeah.
And so I think that really hit home with her, because Ronnie's been through it. We've seen his journey and how much it took for him to even get to a point of sobriety. And so with her in this situation, I think that if she had gone away to school, it's so much freedom, and it just opens the door for so much to go wrong.
It's a couple of ways to look at that, and one of them could be the distance and being away from that environment, because she just, you know, let us know that it was just a couple of blocks from the house. So that's going to be something that she sees and she thinks about each time she passed by that house.
Right, and that's what I started to say the same.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I loved what Jada said to her too, because like throughout the show, we start realizing that more and more of these female characters have actually been assaulted themselves. I think Nina has mentioned that, you know, she was talking to Dre saying you don't know what it's like unless you've been through it. So I think that's just that Nina has had her own.
I think she has.
And then even Jada talking about how she was assaulted by a family member. She's like, you know, nothing's the same. Your holidays and joyous occasions are no longer that. And so that constant reminder of what happened, especially when it's somebody in your family, but for the fact that it's right down the street from her house, she'd be walking to the store and see that house and be like traumatized all over again.
But I think she needed to hear those stories because she had something to relate to. But getting back to whether she stays or goes to, and with what you said, LaWanda, I think it's a double-edged sword, because staying in Chicago, she's always going to be fearful, you know, and possibly getting away might help her, because, you know, it's a strange place, you know, new people, and not so having to worry about crossing that house or coming close to the house or being at a bus stop in Chicago late at night, you know, all those things that got her in that position, which was no fault of hers. You know, I think going away and just getting away from it all might be better therapeutic than anything else.
Okay,
I mean,
so
go away, yes, but maybe like y'all said, not so soon.
Well, the thing that I thought about when the girlfriend was talking about this Nook character, the boyfriend, I was like, he better be axed after all of this, because first off, you know, her having to catch the bus out there that time of night when he didn't scoop her,
Oh yeah.
Have we even seen bruh?
Yeah.
He had been to see her.
Yeah.
You know, Emmett came to see her. He showed more tenderness to her. Like, where is he?
And that's where she needed a father figure. Because see, if she had a father on board, he would have been that little Nick. I can't say, I don't want to say it.
Right.
You know
right.
what I'm trying to say.
Right.
He can't pick you up. Oh, we're going to squash this right now. You know.
Exactly.
I feel like even Nina or Drake would have said something had they been in the know.
Had they known.
She's so sneaky.
Yeah, it might be.
But he hasn't been in the picture. We haven't seen him since Kevin showed up on his doorstep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody.
So,
I'm not saying it's right, but you know, his profession, he doesn't want law enforcement around, so I can see why he.
I mean, I'm talking about even coming to visit her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where's the tenderness? Where's he? You know, looking out. Like, obviously, this young man ain't care about her.
No. See, if she had a dad, that would have been squashed a long time ago because they would have been drilled in her head. That's not the kind of Negro you need to be with. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, but, you know, hey, it is what it is.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you guys too, what did you think about Papa and what he did when he told Kiesha that he didn't want to accept the tips that Omari had given him because he felt guilty about having that money?
I think that was
dull. When he said it, I was like, that wasn't the right time because it seemed like the moment was so light and she was finally laughing and they were having a good time. And when he said that, it changed the whole mood and everything just went left after that.
Everything went dark. It just went completely dark. And I'm like, that is a boneheaded move that Papa.
Yeah. You know, he should have just, if he didn't want to keep the tips, he should have just given it to somebody else, charity, whatever. Put it in the collection plate.
There are enough bums on the street that he could have given that money to.
Yeah,
know?
I think
Ronnie. Ronnie saved the day. Give Ronnie them tips.
Hey, he could have taken it.
But it was like as soon as he said it was like, no.
Everything went left.
It was like fingernails on a chalkboard.
But he might have had a contact high or something, right?
But he did have a contact.
Yes.
He did. So that might have been why it went left.
That was a funny scene too.
And I kept thinking to myself, it's no way you're smoking in the house and the parents don't.
I was thinking the same thing.
I
was like, they don't smell that smoke because as soon as Emmett came in the room, Emmett knew what time it was.
Well, you know.
Right.
So I'm like,
well, you know Emmett's gonna know. You know. Yeah.
No, but still, if he smelled it, everybody else can smell it.
Oh, I agree.
So that's what I'm saying.
Have to have windows open, a fan blowing, the door covered.
That was bold.
But I was like, okay, they tripping.
They were.
Yeah, they tripping. And Jake was hating. I saw.
I was about to say, what did y'all think about that conversation?
I was like, Jake by himself. So I said he hating.
Well, you know.
And I thought it was funny too because last episode Trigg mentioned to Jake, like, do you have a crush on Gemma? And then this week he up here talking to Kevin about, whether they're being intimate and all of this stuff. And so I'm like, does he genuinely have an interest in Gemma?
Something.
He does. He's got a little secret crush on her. I know he does. It's the way he answered the question when he was asked. No. Mm-hmm. You do.
It could be that, and it could be what you said, Ron, a while back about he don't want nobody breaking up the group.
Well, I think it's both that. I think it's all of that included. But, he did mention what he thought educated women can do sexually. So I'm sure that's probably somewhere in the back of his mind. Is it true? And that's why he wanted to ask. He asked that question. So I think it's both, but it's interesting how the show brought up yet another social ill, vaping. And so, and I'm like, Kevin, what are you doing vaping in the first place? I'd rather see you with
right.
Yeah. And Papa definitely said something about that. He's like, the government is always trying to find ways for us to kill ourselves.
I said that my dad was in the background. I'm in Philly for the weekend, hometown. So spending time with Pops, and he hasn't seen The Chi since last season. So I was telling him, he was watching while we were watching, and he said about Papa. I said, listen, he's the moral compass. And he even said, he was like, I like that young man right there.
Yep.
He said he is the moral compass.
Yes, he did.
I mean, even down to him talking to them about the soul ties again. And, you know, Jake was up there calling both of them whipped. And he was like, you know, it's not about being whipped. It's about treating your woman good.
Well, that's why I said Jake was a hater. I said, because both of them got women and Jake doesn't. He on the outside. So I was like,
acting like that, he ain't gonna have no woman.
and didn't Pop say something to the effect, ain't nothing wrong with a little whip appeal or something like
yes,
that?
he did.
Yes.
That's what I said. I said, Papa had an answer for everything. I said, go ahead, Papa.
Like, whose 90s selection has he been listening to?
He's listening to Dad's, because I'm like, whip appeal was way before his time.
It sure was. That's just an old spirit for you right there.
Yeah, he is an old spirit.
Yeah. Well, I really did enjoy this episode. You know, something that I noticed is that the whole show, they did not leave the house. Yeah. Every scene was in Nina and Dre's apartment, and the only time that they actually left was at the very last scene of the episode when they were off to therapy. And Kiesha seemed like she hesitated a little bit, so I'm wondering if she feels like she wants to actually go and start talking, or is she being forced into the situation where Nina and Dre are kind of urging her like, you have to go?
I think it's just scary too, because when you go and you have to relive this, because you know, in order to go to therapy, you have to open up. Yeah. So I think she was just scared of that first step. And I think that was a good idea that they made the focus mainly about Kiesha, because it is about the aftermath. I was glad that they didn't skate over it and just go on to the next storyline, because this is going to be a continuation. It's going to have to be progress. She's going to have to heal. And so, yeah, I was happy that it played out the way it did.
Yeah, me too. It's important to see.
At the same token, it is a television show, so they can't hang on this too long, because we'll get
only 2 episodes left, so they're not. I think they're just, you know, that's part of the storytelling.
So what do you think about the conversation Emmett had with Kiesha as it dealt with his illicit affair with Dom? Yeah. Do you think that he's going to go back and the truth be with him when he goes back to Tiffany, or you think he's going to keep it to himself?
I think he's gonna keep it to himself. He probably gonna lie. Tiffany gonna find out anyway. They getting busted up. They're gonna be busted up. And I think, you know, one thing I did appreciate, I like the friendship between Emmett and Kiesha. I was like, yes. You know, I thought that was so cool to show that just because you're no longer in a relationship doesn't mean you don't have to be enemies, and that you can be cool without there being a relationship. So I thought that was cool that he was the one to break through.
Well, Emmett, I think, wants her back anyway. I think he'd dump Tiff if he could get back with Kiesha.
I think he can. He said, regardless of what he cares about her. I think that's what it is. I think they'll always be friends, whether they get back together or not.
And it seems, you know, he's the one person he can be honest with. He can be totally honest with it. That other person that kind of knows, you know, what his proclivities are.
Yeah, she knows.
You're able to be friends with them. And
you heard Kiesha. Kiesha was like, "No, you would have been out here cheating on me."
I was about to say that.
Yeah, so she's like, "No, Tiff can have that."
Right.
Tiff can have that.
And that's why I was like, maybe there's a glimmer of like her old self still there, because she still knows, like, I'm not willing to deal with no mess. Right. You know, just because I'm in a vulnerable state don't mean that I'm gonna put up with some nonsense.
I wonder if she does still have.
I think the balance of all of this is she's a product of the street. She's very resilient, and I think that she'll bounce back from this. You know, I think
she will. It's just gonna take the therapy. It's gonna take the support, you know, and you know, if she has the support of the family and friends, as we see.
Yeah.
So,
and I love what Jada said to her too, when she said that you might not ever go back to the way things were before. It'll be like a new normal for her, where she'll have to work out and figure out what works best for her to get through the situation. So basically, trying to get back to your old self, you're gonna be waiting forever. And I like that she gave her that. It was a harsh reality, but it was upfront and it was real. It set the expectation for her.
I was thinking that maybe Jada could sit down with her several days a week and kind of, you know, walk her out of this this mental block that she has.
I think that will happen, probably.
Yeah, I think so.
But I felt bad for Nina as a parent because I feel like she kind of has gotten a lot of slack for not being a good parent. And even she said it to herself, like, maybe I haven't been the best parent. I think she feels guilty, but it's like she can't be, I don't think she should be so hard on herself because one, she was a single mother for a while working multiple jobs. Mm-hmm. And then she was trying to be there for her kids as much as she could, but then the kids have to accept responsibility too because they were being secretive. So it's like only so much a parent can do if kids are not forthcoming with you or not honest.
Well,
so I just felt bad. I felt really bad for Nina because I think she is trying to do her best.
Yeah, I think she was mom shamed a little bit.
Well, she was a single parent, for a long while. So, and that takes a toll. She has to work all day and during, all day, part of the evening. And then she has to come home to kids that are, mainly growing up in the streets. So she shouldn't be too hard on herself in that regard because she did the best she could.
Yeah.
Particularly with kids talking back.
Oh, they're talking back now.
Oh, he was really going in the cursing. I was like, see, you about to jump up and get slapped down.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Kevin about to get yoked up. I think you're right about the hands. I was like, he
needed the hands.
He was dangerously close to getting the hands. I'm trying to take into account the trauma, but he was dangerously close to getting the hands.
He needed some physical trauma at that point. Because, his mouth got a little out of hand.
Just needed a
reminder. Yeah, see, that's when Emmett should have been over there because, he's a little older. He might have been able to check Kevin.
Yeah, and Emmett is like, well, he's kind of taking Brandon's role
from
last season. And Brandon normally would have talked to him like, man, you got to chill.
Well,
but
Emmett
if Emmett had been there, he could have.
But Emmett was there sitting, in all that argument. He was sitting there, and he was.
No, he was sitting there. That was what I wish that he would have.
And he wanted to go.
But it's also about not overstepping your boundaries. Like at some point, you gotta let the parent take over. It's different.
That's true too.
Well, that's true. Present. That's true. But I was hoping that he'd get up and kind of like check, and check Kevin and say, hey, I know you're upset, but this is your moms you're talking to. Check him anyway.
Mm-hmm. So was I go ahead, Lauren? You had a flashback of getting in trouble in front of your friends. Did y'all see?
Right?
Ever had that happen when you were growing up and you get in trouble in front of your friends?
Yeah, that's embarrassing.
It was. Well, I think it's time to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were like, it's time to go. I don't blame them because I done try to dip too.
And I was thinking too about that situation. If I was a parent in Nina's situation, like you try to give your kids a little bit of rope, but they end up in bad situations. And growing up in a tough city like Chicago, it's like, dang, I can't give you too much rope. But also keeping them too close is like, you're not giving them enough freedom. So it's like catch-22.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They get to that age, all they can go on is what you've taught them.
Right.
And I mean, people can shame her all she wants, but she was telling them the truth. Go to school, go home, be where I told you to be. Call, let something. It wasn't like they didn't know that. They just chose to do something different. And and it's unfortunate because you're coming of age, you're trying to learn how to make your decisions. You hate for that to be the way that you learn, right? And that's not blaming her at all, but I think once she recovers, I think she will be, I'm trying to see how I can say this because I'm still not blaming her, but take more care of yourself. Don't be as reckless. Don't be as secretive. Just because had some of those situations not been there, he would have immediately told, but he thought he was protecting her, which is why he didn't speak up in the first place. So, I mean, all is not lost. It's just a hard way to learn a lesson about some things.
Yes.
I think the burning of the clothes had some reality to it, because I think in that regard, she might have said, well, if I wasn't so flamboyant and so ready to, show a part of my body, maybe this wouldn't have happened. So, I saw it as a growth period. I saw it as, it's taking the Band-Aid off a wound.
Well, that's kind of echoing what the kidnapper said to her too. Because he said the way, when I met you, you were dressed like a slut. Yeah. So I'm sure that's echoing in the back of her head too.
Yeah. Definitely.
Also be.
I was trying to figure out if she was blaming herself or if she was trying to take some accountability, because those kind of clothing, it does bring some unwelcome attention.
No, it is.
Like whether, yeah. And so I'm like, I mean, I can see where she might be trying to turn a new leaf and maybe be a little bit more conservative. I mean, she doesn't have to wear a turtleneck every day, but she probably would definitely change up her attire.
Yeah.
That's a good word to use, accountability, as opposed to like blame or something.
Right.
She never asked for that. It's not her fault that he did.
No.
I think it's something to be said about being careful with yourself. Being careful with yourself, not being reckless and not just being out in the world as if nothing can happen to you or if bad people are not out there.
And that to me showed some recovery. The fact that she was able to come to that so soon, it was showing me that, she's quick to recover. So again, I think she took that accountability onto herself, realized that, she may have played some small role. Again, we know that it shouldn't matter how you're dressed, that nobody has the right to kidnap or put their hands on you. We understand, but we also understand the realities of life. So she came to that conclusion and she did something about it. So I gave her a feather there.
I think fire is also like a symbol, can symbolize purity or something. So it could be like she knows that she's going to come out a different person. I mean, not purity, but maybe like transformation, that when fire comes through, it tends to cleanse everything that was there. So that could be symbolizing that the old person she was, whoever that person is no more. And so the person that she becomes definitely going to be probably a more empowered person. This is not the end of the world for her. It doesn't have to be.
I agree.
This may give her a new mission in life. Or, you know what I mean? A new mission, a new cause.
Okay. I actually went in and looked up what Frunchroom is because I was very curious. And so it says that it's a Chicago slang, and it's basically talking about like, it sounds like, if you listen closely, it sounds like front room, but it's kind of like a slang word for like your living room or something like that. So, and I think that matches up with this episode because the vast majority of the episode was in
the house.
Front room, dining room.
The Frunchroom.
Well, did you guys notice how, like, even when how Kiesha recoiled, even when Nina tried to touch her, when Nina touched her, she was like,
and that was surprising to me because I would think that somebody that's been through something so traumatic, like the first thing you want is your mama.
Right. I just think she was just like maybe scared for anybody to touch her as far as trust goes. It's just like,
and she still hurt. Like she had bruises. She could still be sore. But she looked at those, so she may still be in pain.
And she looked extremely thin too.
Yeah, well, she hadn't eaten.
Yeah, she looked
you
really
seen her when she was tearing up Dom's food.
Yeah. Well, she tore that food up.
She tore that food up. But when I was looking at her arms, they were extremely thin. I was like, wow.
Well, look, we got less than a minute, so.
All right. Well, it looks like this episode was pretty good. So, but like we said, we're drawn into nearing the end of this season. Predictions, we probably are at the same place with predictions as we were last week in terms of Kiesha's recovery, and then going forward with the whole Trig and Jake and Doodah situation being the next focus for the rest of the season.
Yep.
So I guess we'll have to wait until next week to see where that picks up.
How and when Tiffany finds out.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing.
That's gonna be a blowout.
My prediction is that Emmett's gonna tell the truth.
I think he might. I think he feels guilty now.
Yeah, I think so.
But thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure you comment in the comment section and let us know how you feel about the episode. Also, subscribe to our channel and give us a like. We are also on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at The Spot Real Talk, so give us a follow there as well. And if you guys have no more closing remarks, I think we will call it a night. You guys good?
Good.
Bye. All right. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good night.
Bye.
All right. Bye.
What's up, world? Guess what, universe? Guess what I did for me today? I took that leap, stepped out on faith. I know that they'll call me crazy. How in the world will you take care of your baby? I'm really not that worried at all. Cause if I worry, I won't get very far. No, no. We're only given so much time.